Oh, hello, you. Brown hair, brown eyes. Went to Penn State University for bioscience. I can't picture you in a white robe and those funky glasses. You strike me as more of a creative, perhaps an architect. Is bioscience really what you want to be doing? I don't think so. Why are you running away from who you really are? You're from Baltimore, Maryland. Perhaps you can take me to VIII Seafood one day. I've heard it's good. Wait, what's this? Of course you're a vegetarian. You care about animals and the environment. You also care enough about getting to know me to swipe right on me. What do you want to happen now? It's been 6 minutes and you haven't made a move. You want me to come to you. What games are you playing with me here? Online dating is extremely popular. Tinder reports having 57 million users worldwide. 20% of all Americans engage in online dating, which is a lot considering that only 30% of Americans are singles. And of Americans recently married, over 30% met online. You cannot ignore those numbers. So I'm actually not on the online dating market, but I have been in the past, and so I would like to share some of the reasons for why I think it may be a good idea to say goodbye to online dating, specifically to apps like Tinder. We got a lot of ground to cover today. Before we get into it, the topic of relationships is one that a lot of people have difficulty with. Whether that is dating or breaking up, it's not always easy, and I've sought out help when I felt like I needed it, and I'm happy I did. Therefore, I thought that it would be a perfect idea to partner with BetterHelp for today's video. So thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring us today. If you have anything that is interfering with your happiness, or if there's anything preventing you from achieving your goals or any other mental health related concern that you might be dealing with, BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist that you can start communicating with within 48 hours. It's not a crisis line, it's not self-help, it is professional counseling done securely online, and there is a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's 20,000 plus counselor network, which may not be locally available in many areas, and the service is available for clients worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your counselor, and you will get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions so that you don't have to sit in a waiting room as with traditional therapy. BetterHelp is committed to making sure that you match with a therapist that feels right for you. So they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. And it's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and there's even the possibility of getting financial aid. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. So visit betterhelp.com/Lana, that's better HELP, and join the over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. And with my special offer, you get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Lana. I recently listened to this podcast episode, and in it, Rob Henderson talked about something called seeding, which is essentially when a dating app creates so-called bots, typically of conventionally attractive women, and then these profiles intentionally match with men who have recently created a profile. And apparently these bots even have brief conversations with these men before they stop responding. And the objective is basically to get these men hooked by giving them a small taste of, I guess, what they could have. I wanted to see if I could find any research to confirm this, but what I found were mostly people sharing their experiences on different forums. So whether you decide that that is a reliable source or not is up to you, but here's what one person who is allegedly an employee at a dating app wrote. Many apps seed attractive bots to keep people engaged. The bots will send/respond to a couple of substandard questions. How was your week? What are you looking for? And then ghost. Despite the ghost, the high of matching with a super attractive person who spoke to you is enough to get many people hooked and chasing the dragon. I actually really recommend that you check out that podcast because they talk about things like, for instance, why, generally speaking, men swipe at a much higher rate but get fewer matches, and women swipe at a lower rate but get more matches. Now, bots or not, there's also plenty of fake profiles and catfishing on these apps, and all those things can make it difficult to navigate. As if dating in today's climate in itself is not stressful enough. Sometimes the anticipation of matching with someone, the kick and the validation that comes from that may feel better to us than the desire to actually pursue our match and to go on a date or to connect with them, because anticipation of a reward releases more dopamine than actually getting the reward. It's basic psychology, and this is why gambling, or in this case swiping, can become so addicting. And that may actually be the point, according to Tinder SEO Jonathan Badeen, the guy who invented swiping, who said that he had partly been inspired by Skinner's psychological experiment. Let me explain. This is a picture of a pigeon. I feel like a lecturer with a PowerPoint presentation, but bear with me. So in 1948, a psychological experiment was conducted by psychologist B.F. Skinner that turned pigeons into gambling fanatics. So in the experiment, he conditioned hungry pigeons to believe that food delivered randomly into the tray was prompted by their pecking. So the pigeons began pecking more in the hopes of earning extra food, so essentially turning them into gamblers. And here's what was said about the experiment.
And Skinner believes that if it works for pigeons, why not people? In Skinner's mind, behavior is behavior, up and down the evolutionary scale, and it is all learned.
There is a broad range of people with different intentions to be found on dating apps, and navigating through that is not always easy, especially for sites like Tinder, where you don't really need to fill in any information about yourself to get started and to start swiping other than your name and your age. Unlike some other apps like Bumble, for example, where you can actually fill in what kind of relationship you are looking for, and then you can decide to only be shown to people who are looking for the same thing. Now, I could not find any recent studies on this other than one from 2009, which showed that 49% of online daters reported looking for marriage and 47% reported seeking casual sex. But a more recent study, however, analyzing the swiping habits of, I believe it was almost 700 Norwegian university students aged between 19 and 29 show that men seem to be more interested in hooking up, while women primarily looked for self-validation. And I also found several studies showing that a lot of people use dating apps as a form of entertainment. So in other words, when they are bored. So for example, in one study, almost 10,000, I think it was 9,751 college students were asked why they use Tinder, and 44% said that they use it as confidence-boosting procrastination. And now look, we can look at these studies all that we want, but that's not very helpful when you are sitting there and swiping and chatting. Like, what's your opening line going to be to find out someone's intention? Are you going to say, hey, fellow human, do you belong to the 49 percentile group or the 47 percentile group, or are you just bored? Now, I would like to dig deeper into the point about self-validation before getting into the point that I find to be the most important or perhaps disturbing in this conversation. Not everyone gets a confidence boost from using Tinder. A lot of people who use it actually report having lower levels of satisfaction with their appearance and even lower levels of self-worth, and this goes for both men and women. People may also start to feel depersonalized and disposable and question their own worth. However, it's unclear whether or not it is the app that is causing people to have lower self-esteem, or if it's that people with lower self-esteem are more drawn to these apps. Now, there's a lot of conversation about how online dating makes people feel disposable and that we are living in a disposability or throwaway culture. And part of it, I believe, has to do with a word that I cannot pronounce: anonymity or anonymity. So I have a theory, and you may think that it makes no sense, or you may think that it's pretty obvious. So back in the day, before online dating came along, people were only really introduced to each other through families or mutual friends, or they met at work or in school. And because there were mutual parties involved, there was a level of accountability. So let's say that you met through family connections. You probably would not want to act like a complete nuthead and have people who know you or who know of you find out about it and talk negatively about you, because chances are that they would find out. However, today, most people you match with on dating apps are complete strangers with no connection to us or to our circle, and I believe that it makes people feel less accountable, so there is more freedom in the way that you can kind of act however you want, and there won't really be any consequences. For example, you can completely vanish, as if the match, the conversation, the date, or even the entire relationship never happened. In other words, ghosting. So most of you have probably heard of ghosting. It's when someone you have talked to or dated or even been in a whole relationship with, and yes, I have read those stories, completely, suddenly vanishes from your life. No conversation, no let's meet up, they just disappear like a ghost. And it's not a rarity, it's really common. Now, lastly, and I think this is probably the main reason I have not found online dating to be very appealing, it's that it lacks the physical element. So we are social creatures, we make judgments based on people's body language and their non-social cues and their energy and how it matches with ours and how they smell, how they sound, and how we feel when we are around them. Those are the very basics of determining how we feel about a person and whether or not there is any attraction. With online dating, however, we miss out on that element. So even if you decide to go on a date with someone who you might have clicked with online, the in-person experience may feel completely different. Whereas when you meet someone in person for the first time, you've already gotten a snapshot of how you feel about them. And it's worth mentioning that it can also be the other way around, so perhaps you don't click very well with someone online, whereas when you meet them in person, all the puzzle pieces fall in place. Now, does this mean that ditching online dating altogether is the best solution for everyone? Well, all of today's conversation might have made online dating sound like a terrible idea. I think it would be wrongful to categorize it that way, given that there are a lot of success stories with online dating. I have former colleagues who found the love of their lives online, and even other couples who are going strong. So it definitely is possible. And also, for some people, online dating is a great option and perhaps the only option to meet people. Not everyone lives in a big city or goes to university where meeting people organically is quite easy, or at least possible. And some people are very shy, and so having a chance to meet people online may be a blessing. Ultimately, though, regardless of what I say or what studies show, no one can really tell you what the best option is for you. Only you can decide that. Alright, don't forget to check out BetterHelp in the description box, and I've also left links for all of these studies that I have mentioned.